Good morning, my very good friends. Today on the news, we're going to talk all about Kenny Omega becoming the new AEW World Champion. Winter is coming.
Plus, we're going to talk about him taking that World Championship to Impact Wrestling.
Sting debuted at Winter is Coming. We've got all the details on his new AEW contract.
And over on NXT, another match was added, and now we have the final card for WarGames. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
This is the news.
What an eventful show last night. Whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, a lot of newsworthy stuff came out of AEW Winter is Coming. And I feel kind of sorry for our NXT story kind of stuck at the end of all of this. Because bloody hell, the
little show that could, eh, Andy?
It's puffing up the hill towards its pay-per-view on a go-home show. But Kenny Omega, AEW World Champion, defeated Jon Moxley last night. Main event of the show came through nefarious means. I've covered this already on the What Went Down video, but to kind of summarize what happened at the end, Don Callis, who was doing guest commentary, he got involved. Omega had been paradigm shifted by Jon Moxley into a heater. Don Callis hit the ring. He's the Impact Wrestling Executive Vice President, remember, ended up slipping a microphone to Omega. Omega busted Moxley open, hit him with a flurry of V-triggers, one winged angel, 1, 2, 3. The two of them made a hasty exit from the ring, and then some stuff happened that Adam is going to cover in his first story. Careful not to blur the lines there. But Jon Moxley is no longer the AEW World Champion. The interesting thing about all of this, I think, is that Moxley's 277-day reign ended with Kenny Omega, that villain, going back on his word. Of course, he referred to it as a gentleman's agreement ahead of this match. He talked about how Moxley would have to beat him on his skill. You're going to have to use skill here. The better wrestler is going to prevail. And then he cheated to win with his buddy Don Callis. So that's some really good heel work there from the cleaner, who continues to pay off these little, you know, nuggets of villainy he has been teasing. Remember a few months ago when the Young Bucks were like, Kenny, you're losing your goddamn mind. And we were like, oh, that didn't really go anywhere, did it? What happened to that? This happened to that. It paid off in the main event. You know, on the match itself, I was expecting kind of like this blow-away match of the year contender. I don't think it was that. It was a very, very good match, an effective second chapter, if you will, in this feud, because they had the Lights Out match last year. And Jon Moxley just looked furious at the end when he, well, I mean, he looked pretty unconscious, of course, for a while. But he's going to be raging. He's been screwed out of his belt. Badass. Coming for revenge, Jon Moxley is going to be a sight to behold. Eddie Kingston chiming in, that rascal on the microphone afterwards as well. So, you know, they've left so many little carrots dangling in front of us. The storytelling opportunities are tremendous. And the storytelling opportunities from the second story on our video today are pretty tremendous as well.
Yeah, I'm very glad I woke up early this morning to watch Dynamite instead of staying up, because there's no way I would have been able to get back to sleep after watching that, having seen it live. Like you said, a really enjoyable main event. I think they have saved a lot of stuff, so hence why I'm with you. I don't think it was a match of the year contender. I thought it was a good match between both of them, but I think they've saved so much stuff for the inevitable, well, sort of trilogy, I suppose, because like you say, we're counting the Lights Out match, even if the records don't necessarily do that. Couldn't believe it. My jaw was on the floor with the whole slipping in the microphone and twatting him with it, and then the moment he hits the one-winged angel, you're thinking, well, this isn't the time that Moxley kicks out of it, so there we go. And then, yeah, like you said, it led to them hightailing out of the arena, barely a celebration. Those poor freezing fans in the stands. I was reading reports on how cold it must have been in Daly's place. Must have been like, where are you going? No, let's have the celebration. Well, anyway, Kenny Omega and Don Callis hightailed it out the ring. It looked like they were just going to dive straight into a car, but they were caught up with just before they got there and asked, what's going on? What are you doing? And Don Callis said, well, we'll reveal all on Tuesday night. And the interviewer, just like myself, went, Tuesday? We talk about Tuesday. And then I suddenly thought, oh, bollocks, here we go. More work for me and bloody Andy Murray, the Dudley Boys, no doubt. Because, yes, Don Callis revealed they will reveal all on Impact Wrestling. And as a result of this, obviously, wrestling internet has exploded, not just with the fact that Kenny Omega is going to be appearing on Impact Wrestling and dealing with the whole AEW situation, but now the excitement around a probable, assumed working relationship between AEW and Impact Wrestling. We've already seen a whole host of stuff going on Twitter. There was a lovely photo of the Young Bucks sharing a picture of this tag team I remember called Generation Me in Impact Wrestling. We've seen lots of stuff already. I mean, everyone has gone crazy, and there was loads of people asking us questions, and no doubt we will deal with this in sort of a bigger form about potential, dream matches. But we've already seen FTR going after the Motor City Machine Guns on social media. Jordan Grace tagged Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose, Penelope Ford, and Britt Baker. The possibilities, Andy, are endless. And we have to watch Impact Wrestling next week, which we all should have been doing because Simon Miller's been doing ups and downs for you.
Yeah, Impact Wrestling for me is because this job is so damn busy and you have to consume so much wrestling, as well as the wrestling you watch just for fun on your own, on top of all of this. Impact Wrestling for me is very much I'll watch the YouTube clips, or I'll record it and, kind of pick and choose what I want to watch. But now it's like a lot of people, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a draw for that show, especially next week. So it's an exciting time, if I didn't work in professional wrestling and consumed wrestling all day, I would watch Impact Wrestling every single week because it's a really good show.
And who done it recently? Oh.
Yeah, somebody got a shot, it's mental. But yes, an Impact AEW working relationship is very interesting indeed. All kinds of exciting possibilities, as you teased at there. But for me, personally, the chance of seeing Jordan Grace, Deonna Purrazzo, some of the other great women's wrestlers in Impact, mingling with the AEW women's division, which hasn't always hit to the level many would have hoped, is very exciting indeed. Also, I've been dreaming all my life of seeing Ken Shamrock versus The Butcher. So there we go. There we go. The real dream match. But
thank God, I thought you were gonna not mention Ken Shamrock there. Now I would have burst through the screen to confront you. Yes, Ken Shamrock versus Marco Stunt, obviously. Or I think Hamlet tweeted a gif of, is it Ace Romero? He tweeted the gif of this morning. Yeah. Him and Marco Stunt would make a great match. Ken Shamrock versus everyone. Ken Shamrock versus Jon Moxley, in particular, would be very tasty indeed.
Love the Ken Shamrock. And you know who else I really love? Sting.
Yes.
Sting debuted on last night's AEW show. It's mental we're only just now talking about that 7 minutes into a video.
Yeah.
But this came after Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. Long and short of it, the baby faces won, big beatdown afterwards, big brawl, Dustin Rhodes got involved, ended with Team Taz, everyone including Taz and Brian Cage. Arn Anderson got licked, by the way, that was mental. But the heels were surrounding a downed Cody, the lights go out, spooky music hits, black metal imagery, all over forests and snow and ice and things, and you're like, what the hell is the Night King here? You thought it was Shaq, which
I saw the S and went, you better bloody not.
Which it could well have been as well with recent teasers, but all of this happened. It wasn't a bath from Immortal, it was indeed Sting in AEW. The heels cleared out, Sting had his bat, it's all dark and stuff, gets in everyone's face, little stare down with you, little stare down with you, but they spend particular time lingering on the face-to-face between him and Darby Allin, which is particularly interesting because Darby has been compared to Sting about 700 times since he arrived in AEW. So Sting's signed with AEW. He's going to be on next week's show. Sting Speaks is how they're advertising it, and AEW have issued a press release saying that Sting has been signed to, and I quote, a full-time multi-year agreement. Got a quotation here from the Sugar Man himself saying that the surprise introduction of Sting was a great way to celebrate our biggest episode of Dynamite yet. When AEW launched, I was ecstatic to bring wrestling back to TNT after a very long absence. Sting defeated the legendary Ric Flair in the final wrestling match to be shown on TNT for more than 18 years until the debut of Dynamite in 2019. Now, almost 2 decades later, it's such a thrill to welcome Sting to AEW and bring him back to TNT. And look, I know Sting's old and he's got like a receding hairline and stuff, and he's probably not going to be able to take bumps, but it's Sting on TNT. Let yourself be a mark sometimes, people. This was awesome.
I don't get this about the whole backlash. I saw Goldberg's name was trending, and I was just like, can't we just have nice things just for a while. I get it. You can be cynical. You can say, well, if WWE did this, then people would be rolling their eyes about a legend being brought back and taking the spot of someone else. Having said that, AEW haven't said, oh, he's going to go straight to the main event or be world champion or go over, you know, John Moxley or whatever. They've just brought him back. It's just exciting. And it's nice for Sting to have, you know, something to do now, because the way he went out in WWE, I was just like, oh, it's such a whimper for his career to finish like that. Yeah. And I'm not suggesting that necessarily he's even going to wrestle. Like you said, look at all the legends they've got just in people's corners in AEW. But regardless of how you feel about it, let's just enjoy it temporarily. And especially enjoy it if you run AEW merch. Because guess what? That Sting t-shirt is out just in time for Christmas. What a coincidence that is. There's the cynical bastard in me coming out. Anyway, let's move over to the little show that could. NXT. It wasn't actually quite an enjoyable episode of NXT last night. I watched it straight after AEW, so I was on a bit of a come down, I've got to be perfectly honest. But I enjoyed it, and they have set up some great stuff for... on Sunday, which we'll be doing a live stream for myself and Adam Nicholas. There's an extra match been added, Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. There was more build in a really enjoyable tag match featuring Leon Ruff and Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano just being a knobhead on commentary, of course. And there were 2 WarGames matches. We already knew about the men's side of things, another great promo from Pat McAfee last night. And on the women's side of things, Team Shotzi will have the advantage after Shotzi Blackheart grabbed the briefcase in that match against Raquel Gonzalez. Everyone involved in the match came down and got involved in the ladder match bit, including the final member of Team Shotzi, Io Shirai. Kind of what we expected, but nevertheless, a great looking card for Sunday, Andy.
Yeah, it looks like a fired up little card. This morning was such a blur, man. Like, I got up at 4 this morning, watched AEW, rushed into the office, filmed a video straight away. Filming my second video now. I wrote 4 news articles. I spoke to the boss. I spoke to various video editors. I downloaded image for both of these videos. I have had, between that, maybe 5 minutes of spare time, but I've watched the Io Shirai incident and so forth, and the card looks really good. I wish it was on Saturday, man, because then it would be so sleepy on Monday, but looking forward to it. Let's go.
Yeah, off the back of all this, by the way, Andy and I would like to announce that we are eloping to America, so we don't have to get up at these stupid times to watch all these shows. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Zachariah Aguila. Apologies, I've probably butchered that name. If WWE did another male and female faction, would you want to see the Riot Squad join Roman Reigns and the rest of the Bloodline? That's a left field one, isn't it, Andy?
That is a wild choice. I definitely want to see more opportunities for the Riot Squad, in particular Liv Morgan, who I think WWE probably have something really special in. She's improved so much over the past few years. Her network documentary, Live Forever, is tremendous. Check it out if you haven't already. But I think that's an odd fit in the Bloodline. I think it makes sense to keep the Bloodline within the Samoan dynasty of pro wrestlers. So definitely want to see a bigger spotlight for the Riot Squad. I'm just not sure it's that specific spotlight.
I'm really disappointed ever since finding out the news about Sami Zayn trying to get Liv Morgan and his dictatorship, basically, or I forget what he's called. But yeah, I do like the idea of a male and female faction working together. That one I'm not too sure on, though, but we may well see it in future, let's be perfectly honest. Second question today comes from Big Joe 83. This off the back of course of Sting popping up in AEW. He says, excellent signing, especially for younger talent, but maybe a stupid question. Is AEW's roster on the brink of getting too stacked, and could younger talent get pushed aside? Now, I know we sort of dismissed the whole Goldberg comparisons, but I think this is a fairer assessment of Sting arriving.
It's an interesting discussion, but I don't think there's any indication that Sting is going to be a full-time He's going to be a full-time personality, we know that, but I don't think he's going to be wrestling every single week, and I don't think he's going to be taking that in-ring spotlight away from other people. When you get a star of Sting's caliber, you use him to lift other people up, and they've done that with guys like Chris Jericho. His whole year has been about making new stars. Orange Cassidy. He's had like TV matches with like Isaiah Cassidy and so forth. I said and so forth again, that's my gimmick. Now he's doing it with MJF. He's been doing doing it with Sammy Guevara and their mentorship. AEW is very good at using these older wrestlers and their bigger names to lift others up around them. So I think that, you know, as well, with the extra hour of TV that's coming in 2021, and with Dark being so long now as well, there are plenty of windows for people to make it onto TV. I do believe that you have a valid concern there, but I'm optimistic that it won't play out that way. You know, people taking, like we said with Brody Lee yesterday, people taking 2 months off here and there and being cycled out and coming back in isn't the worst thing in the world in pro wrestling. It prevents overexposure. It's something that WWE don't always do particularly well. So I don't necessarily have that concern, but I definitely see where you're coming from. Yeah,
exactly. I think, like you said there, Dark is sort of the developmental brand far more than NXT is nowadays. NXT is sort of its 3rd show, obviously.
Yeah.
And Sidgwick and I were talking about ways to improve AEW on a podcast, which is available right now, wherever you get your podcast from, WhatCulture Wrestling. And the big thing is we were talking about how that 3rd hour, whenever it is and when it gets launched, hopefully next year, like you said, has to be the place to really develop that talent and showcase the people that may get overlooked. You know, because there's a lot of people jostling for space up there. At the end of the day, you have got some legends who still can go in the ring alongside the people who are developing talent and managing talent as well. So there's a lot of big names jostling for position, and that 3rd hour is going to help. So I think had we not had that, I would be concerned, but less so now. We're going to get that 3rd hour of All Elite Wrestling. Final question today comes from Cash on Twitter, who says, "Morning, mates. After this week's Raw segment with The Fiend and Randy Orton, do you think," I love this, Andy, "WWE are building towards a Bliss on a pole match for TLC?"
Look, I think if you're going to go that direction, you have to bring back one of the 2 classic gimmicks when it comes to on a thing matches. Number 1, Judy Bagwell on a forklift, baby. Alexa Bliss on a forklift, why the hell not? Maybe a monster truck, seeing as it's The Fiend. Adam Nicholas knows about that. Or number 2, the shark cage. It's right there. It's right there. We've seen so many classic uses of that match stipulation in WWE. So it's a wacky idea. I like it. Why not? Let's go. Let's just go full nuts with this, right? Let's go full mental.
They had a real, like, lob on for shark cage matches, didn't they? It's like they got it on lease and they were like, gotta get our money's worth. I think the best thing to do with this feud is a Firefly Funhouse match because you've got such history for Randy Orton to go through. But yeah, Bliss on a pole match. Sorry, it's the end of the year. It's nearly Christmas. Let's have it. Finally, let's move on to today's. And finally, thank you to All Elite Booking at Booking the Elite on Twitter for sharing this with us. I assume this was on the sort of post-show thing that All Elite Wrestling does. The lovely Tony Schiavone, the nicest man in AEW, Andy, you would say, wouldn't we?
Undisputed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, don't go after him because someone in the comments, whilst he was hosting this thing, just talking about all the buzz and excitement off the back of AEW winners coming, Dan Patrick, RIP to him, because he wrote, "Sting is a corpse," and the nicest man in AEW replied, "No, your mum is."
Jesus. You get bodied by Tony Schiavone. It's like getting kicked in the balls by David Attenborough, man. You messed up badly. Oh, baby.
Oh, yeah, police, lights report murder, police, oh my God. Love you, Tony Schiavone. And just be nice to him and don't try and wind him up. He's a lovely man doing a lovely job. And he makes lovely coffee by all accounts. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from. Oh, we got some podcasts for you today. Jesus. Me and the Dudley Boys sitting down to review everything that happened on the Wednesday Night War. Will I be able to shut Michael Sidgwick up? Join me to find out.
No is the answer.
Let us know your thoughts on everything, though, and your Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Well, actually, they can follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Have a Crunu. Check them out if you want some really just great black metal. Why not?
Ooh. Rock
Good.
on.
Also, they're not Nazis, which is a big benefit with black metal. So
go and give Andy a follow if you don't do already, because he's worked his bloody balls off this morning. At Andy H. Murray. Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE, as I said. But for now, we made it, Andy. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.